welcome to this week's episode of Watershed Talks. How you doing, Tim?
I've got my coffee. I'm good.
I got coffee too. I'm on my second cup.
Yeah.
That's all I can do is 2 cups.
Really?
Are you a multi 4 or 5 cupper?
I used to be where I'd make a liter every morning, which sounds like a lot, and it is actually. So
It sounds like it is.
And then I had to pull back because if you drink too much coffee, you actually get tired.
Oh, okay. And we're hearing the dulcet tones of Matt.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Realize this is weird how we're sitting.
Oh, yeah.
I've never sat this close to you.
You're
on
usually
this side.
away. Yeah. You're going to see the, what is this, the command center.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So today we are not going to talk about the awesome jacket deal that you got, but you did get an awesome deal on a really cool
TJ Maxx.
heated jacket.
Yeah, it'll be great for next weather.
So I wonder, can we charge TJ Maxx sponsor?
Oh, yes, we should. That way I can get my money back.
But no, we're going to talk about enoughness, which isn't a real word.
Actually, I looked it up. It actually is.
Okay, I didn't think it was.
Oh.
What does it say when you look it up?
It's a state of having enough.
There you go.
And
Makes sense.
I mean,
It's what
it's
we're going
tied to
for.
contentment. And,
Yeah. So we're actually diving into a sermon that I got to preach, and it's the idea that enoughness is not laziness. Right? So modeling Sabbath is something that is important for us to do, and I guess maybe you could say we need to see it as productive instead of seeing it as unproductive, right? That we need to take a break. And we're going to look at the story of the Israelites in the desert and their manna. You didn't get to hear my dad joke, though, Tim, because you weren't here. Did you want to hear it?
Yeah.
So a preacher, a cleric, and a monk are all sharing stories of miracles that have happened in their life, okay? And so the preacher goes first. And he's like, I was out in the field. It was, he farms just like all the preachers around here, right? And this huge storm is coming up, and he knows he's not going to make it back to the barn or to the house, and so he's just going to get drenched. And so he prays, and sure enough, all around him, he's surrounded by terrible thunderstorm, downpour, but above his head was clear skies. And the cleric thinks for a minute, and the cleric is like, well, I had a similar thing. I was out in the desert, saw a sandstorm coming up. My car had broken down. I was just going to get pummeled. So I knelt down and prayed. Sure enough, whipping bouts of sand all around me, but above my head, cool, clear skies. And so then the monk thought for a minute, and he said, well, I kind of had something like that. I was walking through town, and I noticed a wallet on the sidewalk that had like $100 bills spilling out. He goes, but it was Sabbath, and the monks, they're very orthodox, so he didn't want to break the law of the day of rest, so he prayed, and he said it was a miracle. I said all around me was the Sabbath, but above my head was Tuesday.
Wow, that is the dad is dad.
That
joke.
is the dad is dad joke. Yes, about the Sabbath. It's a long way to get there, but it cracked me up anyways.
It's Tuesday above me.
So our real story is the Israelites in the desert, which is Exodus chapter 16. And I guess just to give a little layout of where we're at, when we read about the Israelites being provided for with their food and their water and stuff, this is after the Red Sea, but before Mount Sinai. So they haven't quite gotten to the Ten Commandments yet or anything that happens at Mount Sinai. It's probably around 7 weeks or so since the Red Sea, give or take.
Okay.
And, if you can imagine traveling through the desert, through the wilderness, you're going to want fresh water. You're going to want some food. And so...
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And so, we read about, as we do often with the Israelites at this time, and the whole congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. Now, I just want to pause for a second there. And in my life, I don't know about y'all, when these texts are used in sermons and in Sunday school lessons, the Israelites really get a bad rap for gossiping, grumbling. But
they don't have water.
Isn't it understandable that they need some food and water? They're 7 weeks into the journey here.
Yeah.
Now, what might not be understandable in verse 3, and we'll hear them say this multiple times as well. They part of what they go and say to Moses and Aaron is, "Would that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the meat pots and ate bread to the full. For you have brought us out into this wilderness just to kill us with hunger." Now, for modern ears, what does that sound like, Tim? If you were to take a stab at the mental health condition that what's going on here? Because I think this is a mental health series, and I think you've actually talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
What would you call this?
This is almost like a distorted view or so, distorted thinking where.
I was thinking of when you said catastrophizing.
Oh, well,
because they're literally making it that in a reverse way, because they have totally made life in slavery this romantic, amazing, like they've catastrophized in reverse.
Yeah,
maybe that's a weird way to see it.
It was great having
they're wanting to go back to slavery, and they're making it sound like they just sat by the meat pots.
Oh man.
And they're just totally seeing this time in slavery as like, I don't know. They're to me they're painting a picture that is definitely seeing rose-colored glasses.
Yeah,
anyways,
I would agree.
And they just wish that they were dead, which that sounds like, I don't know. Is that depression or just what?
Yeah.
If we had been killed, would be better than what we're at. I mean, have you ever had a tough week and been like, if God had already killed me, that would be better.
There's a few times in the Bible.
I know.
Like people are like, just take me now.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I think we jokingly say that, but we're not serious.
So I guess I'm explaining that we just dive into the story that I both understand that they're valid to be in need, maybe even to be frustrated and angry, but they're kind of letting that emotion, they're definitely, I think, letting that emotion paint the picture in discolored ways, which I think that for those of y'all who have either dealt yourself with different mental health issues or known someone that has, I think a common trait is that the reality that you're seeing isn't really, it can be kind of far off from what's really happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyways, so what does God do? What do y'all help tell the story? So they've already gotten clean water. We're kind of skipping over that.
Okay.
Because they got clean water. So in this chapter, they're going to get quail is going to be their meat source. But y'all tell me what's the bread? What happens?
It's manna.
Yeah.
Manna. And tell
From
me.
heaven.
Just tell the story. What do you remember? What happens?
Mana is the magical pool that you use to cast spells like Magic Missile.
Oh my gosh.
Magic the Gathering.
Pastor Tim. No.
Hey, I love that game.
Is there a reason why it's called mana and this is the same thing as mana?
I don't know on that. I think it's spelled with one N though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but
This is
mana.
me being nerdy.
Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, we're referencing a game that's a card game that kids play. But I guess adults do. But manna is the Hebrew for what is this?
Oh yeah,
And that's why it's called manna.
What
Because
is it?
yeah. So somebody tell the story. What
So
happens?
anyway, they go to bed, and every single morning there's manna on the ground.
And what was that? Was it already made bread? Was it? They just
It
woke
was
up?
like the best bread.
It was bread already?
It wasn't bread. It was like coliander seeds.
Oh.
Is that what they say? Something like that.
Yeah,
It's-
a fine flake-like substance. Right. That
Which
tasted
was-
like honey or something.
yeah.
It was magical
Yeah.
because it would spoil in a day, except for
on
Sabbath.
Well, back then it would be Saturday. Actually,
Saturday,
not
yeah.
Sunday.
Right.
Or not even that. It's like the Friday night going into Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always wondered, how did they not get sand in it?
Yeah, I don't know on that.
That's a good
Maybe that's
question.
part of the miracle.
Yeah.
But basically, they were given some instructions. They were to go out. They would find this would be their what we would call their carbs. Right. This is how they're going to get their carbs and some sugars. The quail is going to be the protein. They've got clean water. Now you have what you need to survive. But they're given some instructions. They're told to go out and only gather enough, and don't gather any more than that. Now, if you really read the story closely, they're not measuring with scales or measuring cups or any. They're literally just to gather until they feel like it's enough. It's like they're just supposed to kind of have a sense, and part of like the miracle, and this is in like rabbinic tradition, is that if they did it right, if they didn't get greedy, then when they got home, And remember, these are big households, right? This isn't just the nuclear family. If they did it right, then the miracle was that they would have exactly the right amount for each person for one day's worth, right?
Yep.
And that's what that omer is. So that exact right amount for every person in your household to have enough for one day at a time. But those are those who went out there, and I guess, I don't know, would you call it greedy? Would you call it fear of
Scarcity.
Yeah.
scarcity?
Probably
I
a
don't
mixture
get
of
enough.
each.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned this a second ago, but just to recap, if they gathered all that they could gather and they didn't say this is enough, what happened to it?
Well, it's spoiled.
It's spoiled. It would have worms.
I have an animation in my head playing.
Okay.
Again.
I mean, it's a different kind of food if it has worms in it.
Yeah. And even
Yeah,
and
yes.
and it would go two ways actually, the spoiling. Also, if they didn't just eat it all, even let's say they gathered only that omer amount, but then somebody said, "Well, I'm going to ration this and save half of this for tomorrow." That they put aside would also spoil. So there's this lesson in here that I'm tried to tease out about that God has enough for us in a day, and that it is important to us. And this is one biblical story that supports this, to do just that for a day, that there is enough in a day, and we need to do that, but we don't need to do more than that. We don't need to operate out of scarcity, fear, greed, and that there is just a certain amount. We're talking here with manna, right? And one of the things that was fascinating to me was I actually looked up, and based on some of the latest polls that I could find, so here was one that was interesting to me, that the average American adult spends 5 hours a day in quote leisure activities, but only about 20 minutes of those 5 hours is actually restorative and relaxing and thoughtful. And so, it's low-hanging fruit here. What is most people doing? They're doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And there are more and more studies to show that that's not restoring or healing your bodies. We'll talk a little more about what's happening in our bodies in a minute. And another one was a huge percentage of Americans don't know how to turn off work when they're on vacation. So when they are on rest time, whether that's on a Sunday or on a week-long vacation. And then the last one that I'll share was 75% of Americans feel guilty during their free time, like they should be doing something else.
That's me.
So speak to that. Share what's going on there. That is 3 out of every. That's insane.
Well, so as a clergy person, your salary, and you're also 24/7. And so for me, there's this feeling like that my salary comes from the church members. And so if I'm idle, if I'm not working or thinking about things, then I'm like, I'm not being a good steward of their resources.
Okay. Now, is that something that you are judging yourself on, or is it due to having been judged by others, or both and?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a unique position because you have one boss who's really God, but then you have all these other bosses, which are the congregation. And this is what I found, not here at this church, but other churches that I've served. So it's not really this, but there's this expectation that you're just going to work yourself to death and you're going to just do all these different things. But I don't think it's just ministry. I think it's actually a lot of different jobs, especially
if 75% are feeling this.
Yeah,
then this,
yeah.
we don't. 75% of Americans are not pastors. So.
Right? Yeah.
How cool would
I don't
that
know what
be,
the
though?
percentage is, but I mean,
75% of us were pastors.
I don't know. That'd be more churches on everywhere.
I mean, if you think of in terms
Anyway.
to use terms but this is mental health. We're in the realm of health ideas, lenses to look. If you think of that as a disease, as that I can't just relax without feeling guilty, and whatever that is, that voice or that something over your shoulder,
The ego over your shoulder.
I don't know, whatever it is, that if you think of that as a disease, I mean, this might be one of the most prolific diseases in our country. I mean, there aren't many other than maybe the cold and the flu that 75% of Americans catch, right? I mean, you know, there obviously we had a recent huge scare with COVID, but I don't think it was 75%. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but there's very few that so many people catch, and we've all caught this. It seems like even you, when I read that stat, you kind of sounded really agreeing. What was going on?
Well, yeah, it can be difficult to just turn your brain off from all the things you've got to do.
Well, yeah, but particularly, do you share the guilty feeling? Yeah, it is hard to turn off the work load. But do you 75%? According to this was just this year. This was 2025. Well, just last year. Yeah, that 75% feel guilty when they are just trying to have what we would call Sabbath, when they're trying to just have free time.
I don't know if I'm in that 75%.
You haven't caught the disease.
Honestly.
Yeah, you better wear a mask and get out of the room. You're gonna catch it from me and Tim.
Yeah. But there's that feeling like if you're idle, if you're just sitting there, that you should be doing something.
Right. Which is the title to this message is trying to throw out there, stop treating Sabbath taking as laziness. You know, enoughness is not laziness. Do you know that this chapter is the first time we have the word Sabbath in the Bible?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Because
it's not to Mount Sinai is a little bit further. And that's when we get it in the Ten Commandments. But this is the first mention of the word Sabbath.
Which is funny because I thought, the seventh day, but it doesn't say it's Sabbath. It just said he took a rest.
Right.
And rested from his labors.
And I want to say, I think it's verse 23. He said to them, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Tomorrow is a day of solemn rest." I like that phrasing, solemn rest. "A holy Sabbath to the Lord." And then he goes on to tell him to bake what you will. And so that was the last part of the instructions was the night before the day before the Sabbath, you did gather for 2 days. It's the only day that you gather for 2, right? But one of the things that I found you, Tim, when you kind of said tag you're it on this part of the series, right? You told me to kind of research some of the biological stuff happening in our body. And there was some really amazing stuff I'd never learned before. I looked into like what's happening in our cells, like our not just our brain, but in our actual body,
really?
like our biological cell makeup. So there's a cell called the mitochondria.
I knew you were in the powerhouse.
Yeah, well, the one study that I was reading called it the consciousness cells, because they are showing that that a lot of our feelings and emotions and our mental state comes from the health of where our mitochondria are. Because one of the things that they're doing is, so there's this energy that's being made in every one of your cells right now, and they call it ATP.
Yep.
And when you're running in the red, you just said this morning at staff meeting, like we're running on fumes. And so when you're running in the red, when you're, quote, running on fumes, you're forcing your cells, they're in a state where they're attempting to make so much ATP that if you use like a car engine here, that there's a lot of misfirings and there's all this bad stuff that comes off. And it's the byproduct that's kind of junk is known as ROS. And so this junk byproduct comes off. Just imagine an engine that's just operating way above capacity for too long. And that literally is where when that ROS stuff starts to damage, it can damage your DNA. It can damage other parts of your cells. And when it gathers up and you keep having more and more and more of that, that's where a lot of risk of diseases and even cancer comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's not the only source, but it's definitely one that they found. And in this one study that I read, guess what the fix was?
Rest.
So here's what they called it. Now I'm gonna call it in Sabbath. They called it deep rest, or the other one, I can't remember. It was deep rest or maybe intentional rest. I might be remembering that wrong, but it was they actually showed at that cellular level that. It was structured relaxation. So structured relaxation or deep rest. So I would just do a little poll here. What do you think is not included in free time activities that showed itself to be healing for the cells at this level?
Not included.
Not included. What
being
kind
on
of
your phone?
There you go.
Yeah.
We all know it.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times does it have to come back?
I know. And even when you sit down for lunch, TV goes on.
Yep.
They actually even included TV watching in movies, which I'm at a place where if I can just get my kids to hang out and watch a movie with me, I feel like that's a nice moment.
Yeah.
But they actually said that what they listed off was the type of things that I think we would think of if we were at a retreat. So it's definitely turning off devices. It can be with someone else, so it doesn't have to just be by yourself, although that's good too. But it's walk. So the main things they mentioned off was engaging your senses.
Okay.
And so they literally listed off like essential oils, smells, touch. So they actually
Baking bread.
they actually that cooking was one of the ones that engages the senses. Intimate time with your partner.
Yep.
That these were all things that could be a part of actually healing and restorative to that state that your cells are in. Another one was to connect with nature. No big surprise there, right? I mean, I know that's a big one for me, to go out and go hiking or be in nature. And they even said that even if you're stuck and it's like too nasty to be out, if you can just like look out at nature. So if you could just like watch birds through your window. If it's too cold to go out, I guess there wouldn't be birds then. But but if you could just watch the snow falling.
It's like, look at that cardinal.
Yeah, right.
Frozen.
He's not doing too good. He needs some healing. But just that if you can somehow engage with nature, that was another big one. So I mean,
What about like regular exercise? Does that count?
I don't remember them mentioning that, but I think that would fall under that engage your senses.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean,
if
would think so.
if you're doing walking, I could see that being a little bit more rest.
Yeah.
I
But
could see that hitting a couple because you're in nature. Maybe you can have some fun smells.
maybe it's like anything else. Maybe it's like how you do it. If you're
stressed about
it, beating yourself up.
I can see that.
Maybe the sort of way that you go about it.
well, because like yesterday, I was out in nature for about an hour, and I felt not rested because I was picking up dog whatever. Yeah, and so that was not restful.
I wonder if we were to make our bingo card when Tim mentions poo in one way or another, if that would go in our bingo.
That was inferred.
Possibly.
I'm too mature for that one.
And then the last one was what we would call contemplative practices, which is just our spiritual stuff that we talk about: quiet time, centering prayer, all that stuff. But what was amazing to me, I don't know about y'all. I don't know if y'all still have these moments, but I do. Like when I watch and read about stuff that is happening in the universe that we're learning about, or in our bodies, and it's just like this sort of full circle of like the very things that God set out, is just being proven. You know what I mean? Like, so this Sabbath thing that's been here since a long time ago,
Right, yeah.
like that if you do it, there you actually see reversal of a lot of that negative stuff.
Isn't that funny?
Wow.
Like
It's just crazy. Well, I mean, it's he is real,
right.
right?
Well, and
It is
and
true.
Throughout the mental health series, you keep seeing like all the things that we see today in mental health. It's been happening for 4,500 years. It's
Right.
just it's not unique to us. It's been going throughout human history, and even the ways that we cope with it, the ways that we heal from it, like taking rest. All of them. I mean, it's built in.
Yeah. I think one thing I wanted to hit on was that enoughness needs to be a practice. And I thought about it in a lot of different ways. So low-hanging fruit is being too busy, running yourself. But I thought about like when I'm on my phone, when I'm with a loved one, right? Because they did. One of the things they put out was you can be with someone else, but you need to be in the moment with them. And it's like, in a way, aren't I telling that person if I'm on my phone or have to have something else going on, aren't I telling them you're not enough? Like just being with you and let's say communing, like I can't, you're not enough for all of me to be in the moment and do that with you. I've got to have this and that. And I mean, and now, I mean, again, this is broken record stuff, but it's not just the TV on, it's the TV on and everybody has a device and everything else. I mean, do you ever feel that? Do you ever feel where you wish that you did just have somebody's full presence? I mean, are you ever with people and you feel like, man, they seem so somewhere else?
Oh, yeah. That has happened.
Great content, Matt.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah, you just feel like they don't care about what you have to say.
And I'm sure we've made others feel that way. And I just thought of that as an idea of enoughness.
Well, and the fact that when you sit down, the first thing that happens is people get on the phone,
Right.
Yeah.
One of the practices that we have in our family is when we have meals together, phones go in the middle of the table,
right?
And you actually talk.
Yeah,
and we've actually done this a little bit more now, where the TV will be off, and we have all of us kind of coming together and talking, and we'll have some music playing in the background, and those are really enjoyable. And mostly it's coming because our kids are so busy now that it's like 9:30 or 9 o'clock at night. They all come home, and then you kind of reconnect, and that's kind of a neat thing.
Well, and again,
Nice.
I mean, I guess we all believe God is real, but I'm still struck at times when it's like the things He's told us to do turn out to be like scientifically proven as good for us.
Oh, yeah.
It still makes me kind of go, wow, and that is part of the structured relaxation that they showed. What you just described, literally it will help heal that junk stuff in your cells. I mean, I don't know. This is kind of amazing
awesome.
to me.
Yeah.
And I guess I just want to tease at like, what is going on that we struggle with that so much? What is going on that we can't, I mean, we know somebody that like cannot, like like literally suffers from feeling like if they take any break at all, everybody in town is going to see it, and that guilty,
Right.
so there's that, like, it's never enoughness in people. There's those of us who have people in our home, and yet we don't just we seem to struggle with just like being enough for each other in the moment. Like, what's happening? What is happening? I want to tease out that a little bit. Like, why? This sounds like such simple, good truths to live by. Why do we struggle so much to actually have it in our life? Why is 75% of American people unable to just take a Sabbath rest without feeling guilt?
I know a lot of it goes back to the culture that we live in.
So what do you see when you say that? What are you looking at?
Yeah. So, I mean, you think of the Puritan work ethic, and if you're not producing, then you're being lazy. And I think that gets reinforced by a lot of things that you see in the world, and especially in our culture. So you look at people who are doing really well in life. I said wealthy. Freudian slip there. But
we tend to think of them as going together.
Yeah. And so you look at them, and they're always busy. They're always in, and we look at them and we kind of admire them. Like, how do you do all that?
Yeah.
And it's like somehow it's like, okay, we measure ourselves up because we're humans. We're always comparing ourselves to other humans. That's just built into us as well. And so I think we look at it and we're like, well, if that's how you get to be successful, and then I'm not doing anything over here, I'm not going to go anywhere in life. That's my thought.
100%. I want to know, what do you see as
working?
Do you
24 hours?
do you see the same thing? Anything different
I
as
see
far
similar.
as why are we so infected with this guilt and this like whip task driver in us when we know it's not good for us?
I think it's similar of like just trying to get ahead in life, and I think it can be like almost a selfish thing, well, it's kind of a pride thing, like, I have to do this type of mentality, if that makes any sense.
Expand on it. Why do you have to do it?
Well, because otherwise you're just going to stay where you're at, I guess, would be.
And that's not enough.
Yeah. There's not enough.
Yes. So we're kind of in agreement that our culture drives this.
Yeah, a big part of it. Yeah.
So has the church done its job to be countercultural in this arena?
I suppose not. No.
Yeah,
Is the church need to do something in this arena? Do we need to be leaders in a countercultural way in this sphere?
we need to, but I don't want to go into that like spa music where it's like, okay, guys, we're gonna do the labyrinth today. And like I'm not against doing the labyrinth, but like just sometimes you see churches who go really into it and it gets really fluffy. We need to do it in a way that works.
There's that balance.
Well, clearly, if 75% of Americans are suffering from this disease, then we're not doing it in a way that works.
Yeah, I think we're doing it almost in a way that is against it, where it's like, you've got so many things to volunteer for and so many things happening, which, we love those. It's good. It's a double-edged sword because, having community together and having events together is great. But we got to find that way of how can you have that without causing burnout or more.
And so much of our faith is living in that tension. Too. I mean, you see that all the time with, in Christianity, it's like, okay, should I do this or should I do this? Well, it's not this or this, it's somewhere in the middle. And, if you look at a church and you look at a Christian and it's like, okay, so if they're just sitting and just contemplating, and I think about monks and stuff like that, you ask, well, what good are they doing for the kingdom? They're doing a lot for themselves. But, and then that's my thought anyway.
Yeah, I would disagree strongly.
Well, and then you look at like church and, the ones that are like really, really going and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, they're building all these things up. And I think there should be something in the middle where.
I guess my thing is I don't know of any church in town that has anybody being a monk. So I don't know how much we're running the risk of leaning that way. So we're very quickly going to this other extreme that we don't want to be, but we're not really running the risk of that.
I could see you out in the backfield.
I could do it in a second.
Walking around without shoes on.
I could do it in a heartbeat. Oh man, I would. But I say that, but I think I'm just as infected with the disease as anybody else. My wife would be the first one to say, I need to learn how to relax. Like I don't know how. I mean, I think I'm almost addicted to movement and motion and task because of everything I've had to do for 10 years with school and everything else. But I guess I think it's interesting to me. The church does seem to pride itself on being countercultural, but only in some spheres.
Yeah.
And I think this is a sphere that if this many people are suffering from this, because it is like we have allowed what defines success, what defines being even good, by what the culture says is successful and good. And I don't think we did it consciously. I think it happens. So, and how could working hard be a bad thing, right? But it is seeming to be in an unhealthy balance.
So I was thinking about what do churches do, and a lot of churches will have winter retreats or retreats, and those are good. The only thing is like, how do you make it so that's actually part of life,
regular life? Yeah,
you gotta work extra to save up for the winter trip.
Well, and like how often can you just go take a week away? Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, people just don't have that ability, and so it's like, what does it look like for a church to promote a retreat that's in your daily life?
Yeah, I think that's like a diet to try to lose weight.
Yeah,
you're
right.
just going to slingshot. I think it has to be a new lifestyle.
It does.
And I think that I am critical of the church, and I am a leader of the church. So this is, I'm in the boat of how we have not. If you were to ever just, I do thought experiments. So if someone were to come to me and say, Pastor Joseph, you've been a Christian so long, you're about to be ordained, you've had a lot of education. If there's a Christian toolbox and there's certain tools in the Christian toolbox, I'm just getting going. What's the first and main one that I should learn how to use well? Which tool of the Christian toolbox should I really work at being, skilled with? I don't know what number one would be, but one of the options in the top three would be stillness with God, embracing stillness, modeling Sabbath, whatever way you want to label it. But this thing of needing to actually just be still and communing, however that looks, even if you don't like the Labyrinth Monk way, I just think that we have lost being just present with the presence. Another one might be like forgiveness and repentance. I think is huge. We really need to get back to that. But that would be like, I can't think of one that would be more beneficial in maturing you as a Christian, or I can't think of very many more. It would be in the top of needing, and yet I don't do it.
Yeah,
hardly at all. And even as a leader of the church, like when I think about, well, what can we do? How do you make it a to-do list to not do?
Well, yeah.
But I do think if we think of the church as a training ground of Christian becoming disciples, we are way off the mark in the sense that we can't even really think of what we should be doing. We're not even at the point of not executing. We don't even have the idea or the visions yet
of what. What
you would do. I mean, I don't know. I think it's I think that there is in a series on mental health. I mean, I don't know, Tim. You've done more in this realm of study than I have, but I would think that there is clear ties to being neurotic behavior with never just resting and healing and having Sabbath. I mean, so Matt, what are your thoughts as a generation right below Tim and I? Do you feel that you never stop? Or do you feel that because you're single, you're kind of in a different group.
I'm in a different.
You don't have kids, so is this sort of? Do you feel differently in your life? Do you feel like you have plenty of downtime?
Yeah, I think that's where I don't really feel as guilty, because I feel like I do have too much downtime. So there I go.
So oh
no, I'm getting in there. You're pulling me in.
Well, no, I'm just wondering.
Kind of,
do you battle with like feeling like you're lazy? Do you have this?
I do feel like I'm lazy based off of like my room really should be a lot cleaner than what it is, but I haven't put the time into it. But no, as you're talking, I guess a real world example is I was thinking how I have videos that I need to get edited, and I could have done them Sunday, but I didn't do them Sunday.
Yeah.
Partly because it's Sunday. Well, mainly the whole reason was because it was Sunday. So
I think there's always the balance, So you're painting a picture of sort of going one extreme, completely over here, isolated from the world, and not in any way being apart. And so you're, obviously there are those who are actually being lazy. Right. And that's not good, And there's probably reasons people are isolating and not engaging in life. Maybe one idea I had with people that fit into that mold is I would think that they haven't said enough, and they haven't put to rest wounds and sins in their life that they need to be done with. I could see. I was just teasing at what are different ways that we need to say enough. What are different ways to put things to rest? And I know this is taking a whole other turn, but I just thought, how about like all that unforgiveness, either of myself or of others? Isn't there a point where God wants me to say enough and put that to rest?
Yeah.
And then let Christ renew me? That if I just hold on to that, because, why do we hold on to those things that somebody did that was wrong to us? We're waiting for them to pay the debt. We're waiting for, we don't want to let go. It's not enough. They did, they messed up and they need to satisfy the debt. A lot of times, and that probably hardly ever happens. But
it's that like Pilgrim's Progress, the big boulder that
right,
you're carrying.
Exactly. Yeah, I just thought of that as like another way that maybe somebody needs to say enough. Maybe not everybody fits into this like Puritan work thing where you need to literally just slow down, but maybe people are weighed under a huge boulder that they need to say enough to and let God have it. I don't know. Does that seem way off? It was just a different thought I had. I was trying to think of those who need to say enough in a different way. That they're pretty good at not doing too much work every day.
I'm just thinking like even just the concept, just the slowing down and stuff like that. I think I'm still there.
Well, I think if you really were to unpack why don't we slow down, there's something we're running from. There's something we don't want to get still and deal with. At least that's a part of it. I really think whether that's a guilty feeling of that mom and dad put in us or the culture did, or there's some stuff in our life we don't want to. We're just not ready to deal with yet. I mean, workaholic is just another aholic.
Yeah.
That what are you doing? You're numbing pain. You're escaping. And so I was just kind of thinking, like, well, for those out there who they're like, yeah, I actually don't do enough work in the day. There's probably reasons that they're avoiding. We all go about. We all have our neuroses different ways.
Well, my dad was a workaholic.
Okay,
so that's big part for me is I don't want to be a workaholic.
So what did that mean when you were growing up? Did that mean you just never saw him, or?
Well, yeah, he was working all the time.
So does that mean you didn't see him at all for days? You didn't see him?
No, I saw him.
Okay,
but it's like
he was just in and out.
Well, he was in the back of his head was working.
Oh, explain what you mean by that. So he would be there, but
well, explain by that. I mean, like he would be doing book work. I have a lot of memories of him at home doing book work because he ran a business with 3 other employees, doing electrical stuff.
Okay.
I always remember him being at work, and that was the most important thing because that's how he was raised.
Okay.
On the farm is you got to go work the farm, otherwise there's nothing.
So so you have grown up consciously going, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I grew up where I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be a workaholic. No.
Well, what was that? What was it you had wished would have been different as a kid that you're trying to swing the pendulum a different way? Like why was that not the way you want to be?
Because there's not very much like memories, I guess, of togetherness. It seemed like my dad was always on work mode. There wasn't ever similar interests.
Okay.
Like he hates cartoons, for example.
Okay. Sitcoms over here, cartoons over there.
Yeah. And so me, who like grew up, I got probably watching too much television. I love how TV shows are made. Like I love the behind the scenes, stuff.
Art of it.
Now that I'm older and like even as a kid, I was like, how do they do this?
Oh, okay.
And so it's just different likes and interests. And so growing up, I was more that artistic type, and my dad is not artistic at all.
And it seemed hard to ever have moments where you just engaged together.
Yeah, there's not those.
As though you weren't enough.
Because I'm not excited about wiring a house up, I guess.
That doesn't... You're kidding.
Some of it is fun,
okay.
Actually. But it's like, as a kid, it's not like I want to put a radon system into a basement.
Well, I could use some help with that. So we'll call your dad over and we'll put on cartoons while we do it. Is that...
Okay, we'll work on everything.
Well, what do y'all think is actual practices as we kind of come to a close? I do find it really interesting, though, that you've grown up not wanting to be that. That's
I don't.
Pretty fascinating. That it struck you enough that you've... Like, my dad never said he's sorry. So I've grown up like, no, I over apologize. Because I've never heard him say a sincere apology. So I have that wanting to swing back the other way.
But and I have that other swing of not apologizing.
Right.
Almost.
But as far as a workaholic, you're also
just one the opposite way.
And your room is dirty. No, I'm just playing.
No, it is.
My version.
I need to clean, but I don't. And
it's hard to have the balance sometimes.
It's frustrating.
Well, let's give some tips. How do we close with the practice? What's come to mind? I mean, obviously, this is in the realm of things to model Sabbath. But what do you think?
Man, what is a good practice? Well, for me, I don't really have a good practice as just a single guy. Like, because you mentioned Pastor Tim, who's still in the room.
Right.
He mentioned... eating together of his family, and it's like, I guess me and Luke could practice We don't even have a dining table set up, but we could sit down and just
stare at each other.
Just turn the milk crates that are holding the vinyl records upside down and just sit on a milk crate each, or what? Do you have?
No, we
just
have
sit on the couch.
We could sit on the couch. That's what we do. We watch TV, but like we're watching TV, so maybe we should turn off the TV, sit down, and just stare at each other while we eat. I don't know. Okay.
It's interesting to me how hard this one is. I think it really shows how much it's needed.
No, that's a good point.
It's even difficult to even think of what the solutions would be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking back to the book by Richard Foster, Celebration of Discipline, and there's one in there that's solitude, and this is what it says solitude liberates us from the innate chatter that is so characteristic of modern life.
That's good.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And it liberates us from the ever-present demands that are put upon us, demands that in the moment feel so urgent and so pressing, but in reality have no lasting significance. And so, like the idea of solitude, it's difficult, but at the same time, I remember being a younger Christian and just sitting in the chair and just saying, okay, God, for the next 20 minutes, this is yours. And I think now that I'm a little bit older, it's hard to find that time. But I do notice that, like, if you find something to focus on, like, for example, in this article that I'm looking at, there's a picture of a guy sitting on a boat in the middle of the lake, and it's peaceful, So I think if you can find something like that to focus on, like that brings you peace and brings you joy.
One of the things from the total secular science deal here was nature.
Art? Oh, really?
Just engage in nature, engage senses. So,
okay, my practice is find those like peaceful hobbies and just give it a try. Like
peaceful hobby,
like maybe go to a
knitting
thrift
hats.
store, find or you could not go to a thrift store. I was just thinking for people on the cheap, go to a thrift store, find a puzzle of like a cool ocean wave with a lighthouse or something, and just maybe puzzles is your thing if you don't know.
That was why they called it structured relaxation. I'm calling it intentional Sabbath.
Yeah.
But it's what you're getting at. It's something to. It's almost like we have to trick ourselves into just being still.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Or painting.
Just
because you make the puzzle and then you realize there's a piece missing and that stresses you. Then you're back. It's a constant cycle.
I've never been stressed at a puzzle.
Oh,
you have done the right puzzles, my friend.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't done very many puzzles in my life.
My
I tend to
gosh.
play games and stuff. With people,
man.
That could be a hobby, though, is maybe play games.
I love sitting around playing tabletop games.
Yeah, that would
is
be
one of my favorite
Go
things
to Game
do.
State. Hey, that could be a sponsor.
But yeah, no, I truly love just any kind of tabletop game, whatever that is. But my practice is going to be a little different. And although I completely agree with this, but I feel like we need like a baby step. Because this is something that's so foreign to us. And so Meister Eckhart, he said one of the best prayers you can say is, "What I am, I am." And what he meant by that was the idea of knowing that, you're on a journey and God's working on you and continuing on that, but allowing, he didn't say this word, I'm translating him, allowing that where you are right now with God is also enough. What did God tell Moses? I am that I am, right? Ego eimi. And so it's just this little prayer. It's like a little thing it's just, if you want to try it, that when you start to feel stressed, overwhelmed, you're starting to feel in the fumes, I think you've said in a previous episode to do deep breaths. So I would say like deep breath, and then my practice is to just say a prayer, Lord, help me know that what I am, right? Like you and God are enough where you're at right now. It doesn't mean throw your hands up and be done, but that, because I think one of those tensions and those balances, like, you are a child of God, so you have worth, doesn't mean you still need work. But we do tend to lean into just the work of our faith, and not. I think we're missing reminding ourselves that we have that worth.
Yeah.
We're enough. So, anyway,
That's good.
Well, I think we should tell our listeners that there's only one more episode
right for the season,
for the year or something.
Yeah.
Like,
for this,
I don't know.
this season,
Yeah.
and next
season
season
2
is going to start way late.
Yep.
And so Pastor Tim is being deployed. You are active service, which we're very proud and inspired by. And this is your first. It's called deployment, right? And
first
that means
deployment.
you're
Wow.
going overseas, and we don't know where. Or at least we don't know where.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah,
gonna.
desert paradise.
Okay.
No, I'm nodding my head.
But
no.
it's like it will be November, but
pretty much.
it'll be basically into March to November, and so instead of trying to do it without him, you're part of the magic. What
Part of the team.
The team here, the perfect
The
mixture,
balance.
the trifecta. So we're just gonna hang it up until you come back, and then we'll hopefully pick up with a late season 3.
Yeah, it'll probably be, by the time we start editing and, and doing all that, it might be, December.
But,
November?
we've got about 25-ish episodes that
Unless you
people
can
go
call
back.
in.
But
We could figure that out.
That would be kind of fun.
so anyway, we'll look forward to next week. I think we have one of our favorite guests on, Pastor Tyler, and it'll be our last one for a while. So let this talk shape our walk.